Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne, and I'm here with Jessica from Survivor Millennials versus Gen X.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. How are you?
Hi, Jessica. It's just Joanne today. Stacy had an appointment. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No, I certainly don't mind chatting with you. Thank you for having me.
So thank you for speaking with me, and tell us how you were chosen to be on Survivor.
Actually, my daughter put together a video for me. She was 12 at the time. I'm one of those individuals that only applied once, so I was very lucky. We watched the show as a family, my husband and my kids, and I asked Hannah one day, I said, you know what, you should make me a video. She put together this video. I thought it was great. I sent it in, answered like the 6 questions, and that was it. It got the ball rolling. They called me a few months later, and I ended up on the show. So it was really a whirlwind experience because it kind of happened like so quickly, where I applied and then they were calling me and then I started going through the process and ended up in LA and then I was going on the show. So it was crazy.
So what did you do to prepare yourself once you knew you'd made it on the show?
Well, before I even knew for sure, when I was just at least in the running, I started swimming. I went and got a membership at the Y, so I would swim I forgot how hard it really was to swim, so I really needed to get myself better in that regard, and I just was working out quite a bit. I was reading books on the game just to see if there was any good bits of advice, just looking up things about past players and things that they've done, and you're just kind of preparing yourself mentally and emotionally because obviously I was leaving my children behind if I went and my husband. And once I found out for certain that I was going to be on the show, I started writing letters to my kids. I'm sorry, and to my husband. So for every day that I would be gone, they would have something of mine to read. And whether it be a letter, a funny comic that I found online or something, a story that I wrote, I started to put all of that together for them. So each day that I was gone, they would have a little bit of me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was a big component of my preparing to go, just so they would have something of their mom and their wife. Well, I was off for 42 days. Right.
Well, you were a beast in some of those challenges. Which one was your favorite and why?
My favorite challenge? Oh, let's see. Well, it's strange because I like a lot of them for different reasons. I love the one with the bucket over my head, obviously, because I did well in that one, much better than I had expected. I mean, I was there for an hour and 42 minutes, so that was kind of crazy. So that was really interesting just because of the concentration that I really had to, the focus that I needed in order to do that. But I think one of the funnest challenges really was at the beginning, the second immunity challenge, where I had to jump off the very high platform, if you will, and grab the key into the ocean, because it was one of those moments where I remember standing there thinking to myself, I would never do this in my regular life.
Right.
This would never be something that I'd be like, yeah, let's jump off this really high platform and grab this key into the ocean. Like, I would never do that in my regular life. And the fact that I was like, all right, we're doing this, that was a great moment. That was a really great moment because that was something that I would never normally do. And not that you would do a lot of these things on Survivor, that you would do on Survivor in your normal life, but that was one of my favorite ones, I think, for sure.
Describe what it was like for you and your family to watch it all play out on TV.
Very emotional, just because obviously there's things that they're not seeing, so I would explain a lot of bits and pieces to them that they might not have seen, that they might have kept out, and then also just to watch the reactions to things that people might say about their mom or say about their wife, and how you're going to deal with that as well, and the results of challenges where, like that one where I finished second, where they were all like anxious and really excited and hoping I was going to win, and then there's a letdown because I didn't. So it was a very emotional experience.
In the reward challenge where your arms and feet were bound, did anyone try to roll sideways over and over, or was that not allowed?
No, you had to go on your stomach.
Yeah, that seemed brutal.
That was my least favorite challenge ever, and it was so hard. I mean, I am not someone who ever gives up, and I certainly wasn't giving up on that challenge, but it was literally the hardest thing ever because I was sucking sand up my nose, and I was literally drowning in the sand. So that moment was really, really hard.
So how did you feel when you found out that on that pizza reward they got letters from home?
Oh, I was devastated. I actually was sitting in the hammock with Adam, and I happened to look behind me, and I saw Sunday and Hannah like crouched over in a corner behind where we were sitting, and Sunday was giving Hannah like a leather-looking envelope, and I looked at Adam and I said, "Did you see that?" And he said he did, and he's like, "I'll explain it to you." He said it has nothing to do with the game, and then he proceeded to tell me what was in the envelope, and they had all promised they weren't going to say anything, and so once I had found that out, I was devastated. I cried a lot because in that moment, to have something from your husband and your children or your mom or your dad and your sisters, just it would have meant the world and really just brought my spirits up so much. And to not have that and know that they did was really painful.
Yeah. Did you feel safer in the game once Chris was voted out, or did you know Sunday thought you were coming after her and she was targeting you too?
Yeah, I never felt safe in the game. There was never a moment where I felt like I was okay, because it felt like every tribal council my name was coming up again. Like it really was. When you start to feel safe, that's when you need to worry. And I never felt safe. I was on edge all the time because I was always hearing my name being mentioned. So yeah, it was definitely, even though Chris was gone, it was basically one of those like, okay, that's one rung in the ladder that I've gotten that much further, but there's a whole lot more to go.
Did you know Sunday wanted you out as badly as Chris?
I knew that there was bad blood between the three of us. Like, I knew that Sunday and Brett and Chris were not very happy with me and that they were interested in voting me out. I did know that, but I didn't know that Sunday was so interested in voting me out. I knew Chris was. But Sunday, I wasn't gunning for Sunday. I didn't see Sunday as a particularly large threat as compared to Chris. As far as those three are concerned, I was certainly more interested in getting rid of Chris than Sunday.
Right.
And I think Brett would have been, next in line in that. So she wasn't really on my radar as far as someone I wanted to see voted out, but I knew that there was definitely animosity there, which made it uncomfortable in the game, obviously, because when you have people that are constantly targeting you, it's a little hard.
Right. What, if anything, happened before you got to tribal council to have people arguing so quickly?
I think it was just a matter of people really digging in their heels, where, at that point, Zeke knew that he was being voted for potentially. David knew that he was going to be in some trouble. And I honestly think that David was probably trying to be a little more aggressive at tribal that night in order to get votes on him, so he could play his idol for himself. I don't know if that's what his plan was, but it really escalated so quickly that I even sat there trying to figure out what was going on, because I didn't know why everyone was so upset and angry, and there was accusations flying back and forth. I mean, what you saw was a very minimal part of the whole tribal, and in my head, we were all going in there with a decision, and none of it changed based on the craziness that became tribal. We all went with the same decision we had already made. So it was almost like it was unnecessary to even create any of the drama that was created. But yeah, I think it was just everybody had kind of realized it's on, and this is serious, and everyone's here to play.
Did you know what Adam and Hannah were whispering about?
Well, Hannah at one point told me to vote out Will, which I couldn't figure out why. Then David had told me to vote out Sunday, and I couldn't figure out why. Everything was just very strange and kind of going back and forth. And so I didn't know what everyone was whispering, but I knew that there was some whispers about Ken. I knew there was whispers about Will, and I knew that it seemed like unnecessary chaos.
Right. Well, no wonder you were so confused.
Well, because it really was one of those situations where, why are we even having this argument? We all know what we're doing, and it didn't seem like we were getting anywhere with all of the craziness that was going on.
Okay. So tell us your reasons for not writing Hannah's name down on the revote.
Well, this was certainly not a goof. I know that it was something that you had discussed on your podcast. If I had written Hannah's name down, in my mind, and I know everyone is welcome to their opinions on this, but where my game was at, and where I saw it moving forward to, I was not going to win. If I made it to the final three and had flipped, I would have not won the game. And that's the way I felt about moving forward, where I had already lost loyalty from many people, Brett, Chris, and Sunday. And if those people are all on the jury, that's 3 people that are probably not voting for me. And if I then flip on the 3 people that are very loyal to me and they end up on the jury, well, then how am I going to win them back over? And obviously, I would have directly put Hannah on the jury, so she's not voting for me. So I'm really running a risk of potentially, even if I make it to the final 3, not getting any votes or getting, maybe 1 or 2. So in my mind, I knew that it was a do-or-die moment because I had already had struggles in the game and hurdles to get over as far as a final 3 would be concerned. But to add that hurdle would have been insurmountable. It was a situation where if I went to rocks and was successful, I didn't need to make any excuses about my game. I could sit in a final tribal and say, I went to rocks. And if I didn't do that, if I sat in the final tribal and had flipped, there would have been 9 people, many of which might have been on the jury or sitting next to me, that would be able to say, I was willing to go to rocks, and she wasn't. Right. So therefore, I'm the stronger Survivor player than she is. And people in the jury could have been asking me that same question, and I would have had to try to convince them that somehow I should still win, despite the fact that I flipped on everyone.
Right.
And that game was not respecting flippers. I mean, Zeke was being voted for because he had flipped on all of us. Hannah was being voted for because she had flipped on Zeke. Flipping was not being respected, and I was being told to vote for Hannah because she was a flipper. So they wanted me to flip because Hannah's a flipper.
Okay.
So there was a whole lot to it, but I know that it's one of those situations where you have to process so much in that moment, and that was really what was going through my head.
What criteria will you use to decide who you'll give the money to?
Well, I think that Survivor is one of those games where there's so many components to it. I mean, obviously, outwit, outlast, outplay. And I really think that people, if they're going to win, need to have used some strategy in order to get where they are seated and show that they are able to play the game well, but also do it in a fashion that works. And I guess I say that, I don't want to necessarily give too much away, but obviously every move that you make is something that someone will be thinking about when you're in the final 3. And you want those moves to be ones that people will respect, that people will be impressed with, and that people will say, that was pretty smart of you, or that was really good that you did that, and that you managed to do that. You certainly don't want to be a floater. You don't want to be someone who is not respected for the moves that you make. So I think that, my criteria really is who do I feel had a respectable gameplay but still managed to play the game.
Was there anything you wish had been shown about you on the show that didn't get aired?
Yeah, I wish the situation between Sunday and I had gotten a little more light shed upon it at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Because when the vote came out where I was being voted for and David played the idol to save me, I had gone into all of that with Sunday assuring me that I was solid with her and the group of people, Lucy and Brett and Chris, and that we were all voting for Cece and I had nothing to worry about. That's why I went and talked to Lucy about it, because I was being told 100% I was fine by Sunday. And I really put my faith in Sunday and picked Sunday over Ken because I had been playing the game with Sunday since the beginning. And I had just started playing the game with Ken. So I went with Sunday where I really should have went with Ken. And so that was a hard lesson to learn. But seeing it play out, I wish it had been shown that really I wrote down Cece because I had been told by Sunday that, yes, you're good to go and we're going to keep you around.
Well, I wish I had more time with you, Jessica, but what's next for you?
Everything and anything. I don't really know at this point. It's pretty funny. I'm one of those people that really is open for challenges and new experiences. I mean, I obviously have my children and my husband and my career, and so I'm focusing on that as much as I can, obviously, because I missed them so much while I was gone. So whatever unfolds in my existence, I think I will grab and enjoy every second. I don't know what it will be, but I'm excited to find out.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with me today, and good luck to you and your family.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.